2 today. So when you're doing your sub, just keep in mind it's a mini sub. It's a one-man sub, one woman, one person, one creature sub, and you're going to want to have sub stuff, like hatches and portholes and harpoons and searchlights and grabby claws and diving planes. That's what this is right here, where you can go up or down, and then a rudder where you can go left or right, a propeller, oxygen tanks, tubes, periscopes, hatches, antennas, torpedo tubes, whatever you can think of. We're trying to keep it kind of cute and whimsical, sort of like kind of cartoony anime style. We're not going like all vicious military sci-fi. You can see that this one has a little teddy bear captain. That's just an illustration. So then we're going to do like a little quick animation with bubbles to learn some particle effects as your sub cruises around in your underwater environment that we're going to try to create with lights. So this is what we did yesterday. Remember, I extruded this out. I didn't pull it out. And I'm going to extrude other stuff today. So this is my body. I don't know if I'm going to do much more with this, but I do want to hollow it out kind of, so I can put portholes and make it look like it is a shell, and that there is a space on the inside. So sometimes it's easy to do that just with like a bool or something, and so we'll try that first. So we'll flip it onto its side, a pill shape, and this will be like the inside of the sub. So I can't have it bigger than the back part there. So I need to like kind of figure that out. The back part is where the engine's going to go anyways. So I might take something like this and then maybe just bulge it out like we did before, just as a quick review. Remember, it bulges in the direction of the green arrow. So I don't need to be like, whoops, I did it backwards. The deformer goes into the shape as a child. Okay, and then turn that into a shape. Remember, conversion is really good to convert like primitive stuff into polygons, which you need to do a lot. So you're going to come over here a lot, so remember where that is. And then you can delete the original. So now we're left with two shapes and not like calculated primitives. And you can kind of go to like grout shading and just go to under display here and take it off grout shading lines and put it just on lines, and you can sort of get like an X-ray by seeing just the wire mesh. And what we're going to try to do is create a bool as a review to hollow out that section of the ship, the boat. Submarine is a boat, not a ship. So we will create a bool. Your bools are found under all these tools up here, which we're going to be using a lot. You got your NURBs, and you got your deformers, and you have your cameras. Whoops, I just made one. And you have your lighting and spline stuff and primitive shapes. Under your modeling tools here is bool. And the rule with the bool is whatever is gonna be basically a bool lets you subtract one shape from another, and so we're gonna subtract this inside portion here, this from the other shape, because they're kind of both semi-solid now, so it looks like it has thickness and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to do it with a capsule. I mean, there's other ways of modeling it, but it just takes a long time to kind of model in a circle shape and stuff like that. And I don't want to. We're do like more advanced modeling on other things. So this is just kind of your break back into get used to cinema project, right? We're going to go and do the bool. So the rule with the bool is whatever shape you're using to knock a hole in another shape, that goes into the bool first, and whatever's left over with the hole or the indent or whatever, you're going to go put that in the bool last. There are only two things go in a bool. Okay, one shape knocking a hole in another shape. If you put more than one thing in there, it won't work. If you only put one thing in there, it won't work. And if you put it in the wrong order, sometimes it does not work. So right now, it's hard to tell if this is working, so we're going to go back to grout shading and lines. And you can bool a bool and a bool, so you can use it as a continuous tool, which is what we're trying to do here. So if I take the capsule on the inside here and I move it around, you'll kind of see that it's knocking a hole in my ship there. Now I can't see it because it's on the inside here. So I'm going to create another bool. We're going to do some portholes. So I'm just kind of doing some funky, easy tricks to model this. We're going to flip this pillar. I just made this will be one of my portholes. I'm going to flip that down here on its side on the B, 90 degrees. There we go. And I try to want to get this on the flatter side. I don't want to really have it too much on the curve because then I have to match that. So, like, how many portholes can I fit on this thing? I don't know. Maybe I might be able to put one in the the conning tower, but that's not hollow. So I'll just do the body, and we will copy paste. So that there are 2 portholes. That seems like a good amount for this size of a little submarine. I'm going to add more segments to them. When you do bools, the more segments that you have, the easier it is to for the computer to calculate all that geometry when it starts blending the shapes and using one shape to knock a hole in another shape and that kind of stuff. So we're going to connect those. Polygons can be, one of the things about polygon shapes is they're advanced shapes as opposed to the primitive shapes. These are primitives right now. See, they have a cylinder icon, not the polygon icon of the blue triangle. So if we go to conversion and we go to make editable or current state to object, that will turn them into polygons. They have the blue triangle now. And now that they're blue triangles, one thing you can do with advanced shape is connect them. So you can go over here to connect under conversion and do connect objects plus delete. That'll leave, if you do connect objects, it leaves the old 2 that are still there and creates a third one of the connected version. But if you go connect objects plus delete, it deletes everything and just leaves you with the connected version. Okay, so remember, 2 objects to a bool. So we're going to create a second bool. Got it? Modeling tools, bool. First thing into the bool will be the new cylinders, which basically, even though they're, I didn't mean to move that, even though they're apart, they're considered one piece. So that's kind of like a cheat. So that goes into the bool first as a child to the bool. And then the second object that can go in your bool can be another bool. Even though that bool has stuff in it, the bool is a single thing. So there's the cheat. And then now, if we look in there, we can see that, okay, it's not working. I've just knocked a hole in this and it goes straight through. So in this case, I have to go, and this might happen to you, I might have to go to the second bool and move that around a little bit to kind of get it to work. So you can see I nudged it around, and now we can actually go into the sub. Now it's working. Oops, I have a hole in my sub. That's okay. I would rather have a hole up at the top here if I can arrange it and still have it work. There we go. Because that's where I'm going to put my hatch anyways. So we have a hole there, and we'd clean up that hole if we were doing, whoops, I didn't mean to do it on that part either down there, so I have to kind of finagle it a little bit. There we go. All right, and so we'll put we'll put our hatch there, and I'm not going to clean up this hole because we're going to put a hatch on top of it. And I mean, what's the point? I mean, if we had a character coming out of that, then we'd have to clean this up and make it, perfect circle, and retrofit it with edgings and bolts and nuts and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's what you'll have to do to get that to work. Sometimes if you just use, I'll take this capsule out. Sometimes, oh, that's the wrong capsule. If I take, and I used, let's say, just the pill shape like I had, instead of like deforming it and all that kind of stuff. So I want to flip that onto its side. And I just had kept it like this. That might have worked out a little bit better. So I'm going to replace that object in the bool. So I'm going to take everything out of the bool so I can kind of re-engineer it. So the capsule needs to go into the bool first, and then the polygon capsule, which will be left over. And then I'm not sure, we don't know if it's working or not until we make the second bool. Okay, so the second, we'll roll that up over here. Over here in my objects palette, this is where you do most of your work, so you have to keep your eye on this. So the next one will be the capsule into that bool, and then the other bool. That's the extra capsule right there, okay? All right, and you can see like, okay, it's disappearing. So sometimes you have to, if you dragged them in the wrong order, you can just swap them and fix them that way. Okay, so it's not like a perfect cheat. Let's kind of get rid of some of this stuff and kind of do it again just to make sure you got it. It's not a perfect cheat. Because you're kind of like tricking in and doing like a shortcut to longer, harder modeling. So sometimes you gotta like kind of like wiggle it around. So I used the wrong capsule here too. So this is the right capsule, and we'll take this one, stick it up there so it's not in the way. And we'll do this over again. So this time around, I'm not using a modified capsule to create like the interior section. I'm just using a capsule as it is. Okay. So first we have the main body, and that's just called capsule. You can see when you don't name stuff, it gets confusing, right? I mean, I like in the early morning. It's like 6:30. I'm like all befuddled and going, oh, dude, what? So you want to like you name your stuff so you can figure out what's what. We'll call this bloated inside. All right, so then now we know what's what. So the cylinders are going to be the portholes. Capsule is going to be the new inside. So first thing you drag into the bool is whatever's going to be used in alcohol in something, which would be this extra capsule that I made. That I might as well go down here and make like some extra segments to. All right, then goes into the bloated or the body. So that goes into the bool now. And then we're going to make a second bool. So we go get a bool. And then first good thing into that bool is the cylinder, and then the original bool. And then we look at it and it still didn't work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to take this original capsule and kind of move it around a little bit. and see if I can get it to work without knocking a hole in the other shape. Like I said, sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. And you know, if you're farting around with it and you're like, well, what's the point? We could have done the original modeling. And it's not working like that, so I can get rid of that capsule. Then another solution, just trying to show you all the ways, and I'm kind of glad this one's goofing up here a little bit, is we'll get rid of that other bloated inside there, is to just take the original body, that, and knock a hole in it with that, okay? Unfortunately, with my original body, I kind of already have that conning tower, and so it might be kind of weird, this little tower there, and we'll see what happens there. So I'll copy paste it, and we'll drag that into the bool, and then we'll drag the other body into the bool. Now they're both identical in size, so I'll shrink one down. So I used a copy, basically, of one to create that bool. All right. Now I don't know if it's working until I do my second bool with the cylinders, and that totally worked without any. So like if I had done that originally, oops, there it is. It kind of like is opening up a hole in the back of my fuselage there. That wouldn't do. That would sink my ship, sink my battleship. So I can kind of move it around, see if that'll work. Close that off. And it's not. Usually, if you're going to end up with a hole on it, I'd prefer the hole to go out the back. And the reason that we want to do that is because I'm going to stick an engine on that. So I kind of, you know, because I haven't done this project in a while, I kind of goofed that up. So, all right, let's start from scratch, and we'll just to make it easy. I think I could keep those cylinders, though. I don't need to redo those. All right, so yesterday what we did, just as a quickie review, capsule. Flip the capsule onto its side on the P. Stretch it out to be, you know, your sub length. Remember to keep in mind it's a mini sub. Give it more height segments. Maybe give it a few more cap segments. All right. I like to do even numbers. And then we deform it. So we did a bulge deformer. We changed the length of the bulge deformer, and then we flipped the bulge deformer onto its side, and then we bulge it with the little dot. Bulge deformer goes in the capsule, and we bulge it out. Like so. Move it around however, you know, we want to change and alter the ship. I'm going to go get a taper deformer now and do the same thing to that. You can actually scale up the deformer with your scaling tool up here. You don't have to use the boxes right here to resize it, but that is more precise. And then we'll flip that on its side, and we will put that into the capsule. And then I'm going to taper the front to be more pointy. And that actually looks a little nicer than the one that I made yesterday. And we'll kind of bring it up a little bit. All right, and then I'll convert that into current state to object. That converts all these primitive deformers into polygons. So now I have a better shape to work with. Before I pull out the conning tower, I think I'll bool it. it might be a better idea because I was fighting it with the bool. And you can look, it's like we're just doing simple modeling, so it's easy to just kind of rebuild it if it's giving you crap. So we're going to make a copy of the capsule, which is the body of the ship. And I'm going to, it almost always has to have a hole in it. So I'm just going to shrink it down and then stretch it out so it kind of goes out the back end there. And if we're going to end up with a hole to the ship, it would be better there. Or like the original one I did today with the hatch, because we're going to put the engine over that spot anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's something there, like a hole. So we make our first bool, and we drag in that copy that I stretched out and made smaller, and then the original, and then now we have a hollow inside. And so that was much easier, right? I mean, it was like fewer steps. So, you know, once you learn this trick, it does save time modeling certain things. You just have to know how to troubleshoot it if it gives you crap, like, which is what I was just trying to do. Alright, so let's take those. That'll be my porthole. I think they need to be a little longer. When you do a bool and you want to punch a hole in something, it needs to really go all the way through. So let's do our cheat for the portholes and hope it works. We'll do a second bool. We'll drag in the cylinders first and then the other bool, and now we have a really good beginning of a ship. Let's convert the whole thing into a single polygon shape instead of all this crap. So take all the parts, unroll them, and take them all and select them. When you select parts, you can just drag a box through all of them, or you can hold down your command key and click on each one, or you can hold down the shift key and get them all. The command key kind of lets you skip around in there and select like ones and not the others. So like that's not selected, but that is selected with that color. Or if you click and drag a box in. And so we're going to go to conversion, current state to object, and that will have all these polygons, and then we'll go ahead, so it makes a second version, and then we're going to go ahead and do a connect objects plus delete the very original, and we're left with a single converted, easy to work with shape. Okay, and on that I would go ahead, and this is where we'll do a review of the polygons. Go to my polygons tool and you use your black arrow. There's other ways of selecting polygons, and they're found under select, like loop selection, things like that, which are very handy and we'll use later when we learn those or review those. But right now, just go to your black arrow with the circle on it and find a middle portion, like find the center of your ship. If you look at my horizon, it's kind of a little bit, there we go, now it's flat. If you're holding down your command key while you're doing this, it's gonna treat it like a teeter-totter. So you can see like how now it's all like catawampus, like the universe is all weird and falling off to the side. So if you hold down your command key, you can straighten that out while you're rotating your view right there. Just a quick review of that. And I want it flat. So we're going to go ahead and hold down the shift key to select multiple polygons. I think I want my conning tower to be a little bit bigger this time. And remember, if you select like a polygon by accident, hold down your command key and subtract it. Always check your polygons. Right now, when I'm selecting polygons, if you look over here, it says only select visible elements. You want that on when you're doing something like this. If that's off and you start selecting polygons, it'll like go all the way through, and then you'll be like, oh crap. So hold down your command key and subtract. Always check your polygon selections and make sure that you have only got what you want to get. Okay, double check, because if you start going and doing other stuff. So I'm going to extrude. I hit the shortcut by mistake. We're going to go over to Create Tools, Extrude, and we extrude it out, and now we can do the conning tower portion. So, I mean, you know, whatever works for you, you can do it out of order like I did yesterday. Like, it's just a different way of doing it. It all achieves the same thing. Okay. I just had a little bit harder time hollowing out my vessel here. So I'm scaling it and then pushing that back. And of course, that portion isn't hollow up in there. So, like, how could I hollow that out? If I wanted to, if you're like, I want to hollow that out too and put a porthole up there. Well, what I would do is deselect it and take off select visible elements only and reselect it. So while there's stuff selected, if you go to select, you could go to deselect all. So reselect it, and it's kind of like, because I'm at an angle, getting all that crap, which I don't want. So I want to kind of look at it straight down. So that's when your other views really come in handy. So you have your top view. Remember, it says over here. So that, just to review, this is your view button right there, and it gives you like 4 standard default views of side, top, bottom, or left and right, and your general perspective view, which is all directions. And it defaults to just lines, so you have to put on grout shading and lines. And so I could go here and I can see there is the top polygon. So if I hold down my shift key, I can get those. And then go back to my regular view. And when we look inside of the sub, you'll see that it's selected the inside there too, but also the bottom. So what I'll do is deselect that. So you just roll over like you're painting. Okay, and because the element part where as you select polygons and you're like going in there and holding down your shift key, where you just go back to the tool up here, because I left off only select visible elements, it deselects everything. So if I turn that back on while it's all selected like this, then I can kind of just go in there and this is just to make sure that it's more precise. You could do this, without that, but it's kind of hard to see. And then I kind of want to double check my polygons on the inside here. I sort of selected some by mistake, which kind of defeats the purpose of the shortcut, but and make sure, like, double check, because you see there was some rando stuff in there selected. All right, and I want the inside, but I don't want this outside, I think. Let's check it. Yeah. And so now I can hit delete. And so I'm just kind of goofing around with it, showing you different ways of doing things. And so now that conning tower is hollow, because I deleted the inside polygons but not the outside. So that's why I did all that. Anyways, once I do that, then I can go and I could do another bool. So I'll give like some height segments to a new cylinder, flip it on its side on the B. Notice that it doesn't flip. So like I went down here, I typed in 90 degrees, and then I hit apply, and it's like it doesn't do jack. That's because I'm still on my polygons tool. So you have to go back to your modeling tool, and then I can go do that. All right, so I'm trying to do a lot of review here, just in case you don't remember, your memory is not so great and it sucks. All right, so there I'll have like another little, where the pilot can like go up there. I don't know. I'm just trying to like do a different design here. add different things, give you ideas. So we do a bool, cylinder into the bool, and then whatever's left over, and then now we have that problem again. You know, so like I said, sometimes that bool trick works, and sometimes it doesn't. How can I fix this? Because I've already got this all, you know, done. Well, in this particular case, in order to fix this, I have to delete this. Okay, so that means taking the whole thing and converting it, current state to object, mesh conversion, connect plus delete, and then delete the original. And then what I would do here to fix that is, I have no choice but then to go to my polygons tool and start selecting, make sure only visible elements are on in this case, and starts like deleting those polygons. But be very careful not to delete one of your other polygons, which I think I'll do just to show you how to fix it. Like, you know, see how I'm having such a hard time like getting all these rows and columns? So that's what some of the other selection tools do that are really neat. So let's kind of go over those. So loop selection. Loop selection gets the whole thing. I can just hit delete. Bloop, 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 bloop. That's what it's there for, to save you from, you know, pain in the ass stuff like that. So now I've deleted those and I have a hollow conning tower. All right. But what if, like you had, like you later, you're like, oh, I did it. I'm getting good at cinema again. And you're like, oh crap. I and you're like, I deleted that thing there, that polygon, what do I do? Well, under mesh, create tools, you have close polygon hole, and you can just kind of like seal it. You can actually do that to this stuff too. It's not a good idea because it creates what's called an n-gon. An n-gon is not like a real polygon. The geometry gets all weird. All these little triangle geometries that you're seeing up here are usually pretty bad for like professional level modeling. Triangle polygons are hard to work with for textures and animating and stuff. You usually want to avoid them. So, you know, that's why they would model this in a much longer fashion, which to get the circle out of the square. But we're not at that level yet. We're just kind of like reviewing, so I would seal that up. See, now it's sealed up. But I don't want that. I wanted to leave that open. All right. So now we have our portholes, and what else should we do quickly? Let's save the engine for tomorrow. Let's wrap up the portholes. So the portholes, let's use just some primitive shapes so we don't have to like kill ourselves over that. So we'll use I gotta get off my polygons tool, go back to my modeling tool. And we'll use a tube. All right, and hopefully you can tube. So we need to like add like parts to the porthole. So if I had bothered writing down when I made the original cylinder and I punched a hole in it, if I had written down the radius, I could have matched it on the tube right now to be perfect for this inside part, but I didn't do that. So now we have to just kind of like guesstimate it. Better to be a little smaller than too big, I guess. And we wanted to make sure that we're not going in the sub, so it'd be a little bit sloppy. That'll work. Okay, and then we need to have some nuts and bolts and stuff like that. You know what's really good for that is just like a little. You can make a sphere into a hemisphere. If it's at an angle, though, I probably wouldn't do that. But a hemisphere, or you just keep it as a sphere. I mean, who gives a crap? So we'll just go standard sphere, and we'll shrink that down. And we want to make it look like, rivets, like bolts and nuts and stuff. Like it's a sub. It's not going to be all like smooth without any connectors. So then I just want to like sink that in. No one will know. It'll be our secret. So then I can just like copy paste and then copy paste and rotate. Copy paste and rotate. Copy paste and rotate. Hopefully that'll look, it's not perfect, but it looks good enough. So I'm using my rotation tool. Remember, when you rotate, it's similar to moving with the axes tool. You get wheels, and so you just click on that wheel and rotate. Let's get them all. Rotate that wheel, and it's like a car, helicopter, propeller, or whatever. So it's on an axle or an axis. And you rotate it in the direction that you want. So I just kind of cheated that real quick. And you can even I don't want all these spheres. What could I do? Well, you could go to conversion and do make editable. You can go to conversion, make connect plus delete. And then for the other portholes, I could just make the spheres a child to the tube over here, and then just copy paste the tube and scooch it over to the other one. The curvature of the sub is different there, so I may want to rotate that a little bit to kind of match it up if I can. But you know what? I'm not done with the porthole, so I have to do the glass, otherwise everybody will die. So I'm going to go to and drown. So I'm going to use an oil tanker shape. This is really good for creating like a magnifying lens too. Just if you give this glass material and you do this, it will actually kind of turn it into a magnifying glass. It's kind of neat, but we're not doing magnifying glass. But a porthole has glass in it, and I want it to kind of look like bulbous and sort of like a magnifying glass, like when you're looking through a peephole on a security door type of thing, sort of like a dome lens. And I remember the radius was 50, I think, on the other one. So, or that was the outside radius, not the inside radius. Yeah. So we want to make sure we flip it. It's facing outwards. And again, I screwed myself over by not writing down information. But that's okay, because this one you can kind of just shove it in there and no one will know. I'm kind of teaching you sloppy modeling habits. So it comes out like that. So that's kind of like what we're going for. So that looks great. I love that. All right. This is also good for lighting too. If you wanted to put like a searchlight, you can make that glass and put a light on the inside there. Things like that. All right, so let's put the oil tank in the tube shape too. So now we can just copy the whole thing. Copy paste. We haven't done materials yet, but we will. I kind of want to X-ray it when I'm doing this. See if I can like line it up better. I might have to nudge it around later once I give it glass if I'm not perfect, but that should be good enough. And then I want it to come out about the same thickness as the other one. All right, and then for the flip side, I don't want to have to like put it in there by hand. So I'm going to create a null object under create in the menu bar up here. Um, if you remember null object, it's create null. And basically what that'll do is create an empty like folder, box holder thing. And we're going to do a symmetry. That's another review we can do tonight, today. I said tonight, I meant today, or this morning. Symmetry, and we'll drag the null into the symmetry, and the symmetry will mirror stuff on one of the axes planes, so like up and down, left and right, backwards, forwards. So that means that you could go to the mirror plane and just figure out, which is your deal. I'll bring it up so you can see it. So where is it mirroring it? I think it's right on. Oh, it's right on top of each other. So I move them apart. You'll be able to see. I'm kind of screwing it up just to make my point here. But you can see like it's doubling them up on each other. So if I go to the next one, it does it on that side, and then the next one is like right next to it. So you just have to find the right mirror plane if it doesn't do it right away. So, because some of you may make your sub like this orientation instead of that orientation, and in that case you'll have to find another mirror plane. I'm gonna get rid of that symmetry right now and move this back into position, which I just jacked up horribly, and we'll have to likely fix when I give it glass material, but that's cool. And we'll go to symmetry and get the flip side. See there, that's perfect alignment now. So they're both exactly in the same one. Okay, and when it's time to fix that, I can fix that. Also, if I go and copy the original, I forgot I need one up here. I don't know if it needs to be that big, maybe a little bit smaller. It needs to be way smaller. Let's take it off of ground and just shading with lines and put on ground shading so we can kind of see what we're doing here. I need to fix that tube a little bit so it doesn't cut in there. It is on an angle slightly, so maybe I'll kind of rotate it a little bit like that to match the angle better. You can see it kind of lines up a little bit better when you do that. And then make another symmetry, which is right by bool. And we'll drag that in, should mirror it. Boom, okay. So now we're all perfect. So we have our portholes, and we have our sub body, and it's hollowed out, and we do have a hole back here where we'd all drown, but we're going to put an engine there so we can seal that up, or if you did it the other way around where you had the hole up here, you can put a hatch on top of it to seal that up so you don't have to worry about it. Tomorrow we'll make an engine, and then we'll do like the hatch and the periscope and any other like tubey shapes or harpoons or whatever we're going to put on there. Okay, so we'll do other stuff in step 3. All right, so that's it, folks.